There we go. Now we're recording. So my 8 or 7, sorry, last season was from bottom to top was Necro at the bottom, Amazon, Barb, Paladin, Druid, Sin, and then Sork. And spoiler alert, the only one I'm bumping up is Amazon, and everyone is just sort of shifting down. So you tell me when you disagree. Here is, you guys can see this here. This is how I think the cost curve goes over the season. You start out with a decent startup cost. It sinks over the first 2-3 weeks, and then as you try to get bigger and bigger items, the price just goes up exponentially. So I'm going to pull up the season changes. I'm going to tell Wapinator my proposed top in 7 order season starters ranked, and then he's going to fill in and try to talk me out of it when I'm totally wrong. So there's only one thing I'm changing, but we'll start at the bottom. Necro. Are we in agreement that Necro has to be the worst season starter?
Yeah, there's no way that people are going to play Necro less this season now that they don't have to resummon their skeletons all the time. And then with Iron Golem working and a bunch of the other changes, I can't imagine people aren't going to be playing Necromancer a lot. So, as usual, it's going to cost a bunch. I mean, Poison and Bone, like Teeth or something, is still probably just fine.
Even then, with all the Poison Strike Necromancers, it's like there's going to be people trying that out.
There'll be people trying it, but I think it generally is more of a once I've got a couple, or maybe a second character, once I've got some gear, just because melee as poison, you're not getting the leech, whatever. We'll see. I still just think how expensive or how common summoners are going to be is just going to put it at the bottom.
Yeah, and I kind of have it in like its own tier of awful starter. And the worst part is it's a fun class. Like Corpse Explosion is a really powerful starter. It's just that startup cost is kind of annoying.
Yeah. And when it means that torches are going to cost more, it means, random skillers cost more.
All right, so last season I did have Amazon at 7th. I am bumping Amazon up, so my next one on the bottom is Barbarian.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree there either. I mean, it's also kind of funny looking at the poll, and that Barb is way low compared to all of the others. I don't know if you looked at the poll that came out, but right now it's...
So there's a lot of people not playing Barb, in other words.
Not playing Barb is what it looks like. So it might be slightly cheaper because of that, but once again, that's only 730 votes. So normally day one of the season, we've got at least 3,000-4,000 people online. So it's not like it's a fully representative sample, but Barbarian was down at 9.7% when average is 14.1, right?
Yeah.
So
when you look at the changes,
it was pretty low.
But they basically buffed everything that wasn't getting used as much. Like some of these things didn't need buffs, but they buffed things to try and make people play them. And we'll get to that with Amazon, but like Leap Attack was the one that actually got a nerf with it now using attack rating.
Now uses attack rating. So that does seem like, a pretty big nerf. It was, way too strong before. So it was necessary there, but I think people are still tired of double throw after they played it for however many damn seasons in a row. And like a little bit of damage per level on Frenzy and double swing concentrate and bash, and Berserk. Literally all 5 of those were like so minimally played that these changes don't seem like enough to make people want to play them. Yeah. So it's just going to be like, oh, well, Leap Attack is worse. There's still going to be people that want to spin to win every single season, and they're going to keep playing Whirlwind no matter what. And double throw is still boring. So, I see the value in Barb. Melee Barbs are also going to be better just with Next Hit Always Misses being gone. But, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be super popular to the point that...
I haven't tested yet either, but do you really think that the ethereal set bonuses will make like whole Kathos worth it? I mean, you'd have to get a Zod in each of them.
Yeah, I don't really think so. I mean, it's like it's fun. The reason why it hadn't been a thing before is just because it like wasn't programmed to be a thing, but it doesn't seem like it's enough. I mean,
it's a new addition.
We've built before ones with 5 or 6 sockets on either weapon, and you shove a bunch of ohms or whatever in there, and it's still like, why am I doing this compared to, just a steel pillar or something, or a pair of grandfathers or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the problem. With Barb, you still have to find that giant weapon, and then when you do find the giant weapon, if you get, like I had the gavel, if you get something with min damage, it's really annoying. You need like a crafted blood ogre ball. Like, you need something with that crazy min damage to
make sure you kill everything in one shot. Yeah, as it was with leap attack in a lot of ways, but
All right, so we're agreement on 7 and 6. I have Paladin next, which I think.
I think I have Amazon below Paladin still.
All right, so that's our first one.
Or-
Well, let's talk about that. So, I have Paladin there as essentially a placeholder because I think Barb and Necro are the bottom, and then the next tier up is sort of the next three: Paladin, Druid, Amazon. Paladin, yeah, it has the cheap starter weapons because you can literally just use like a B star or things like that.
Yep.
Your damage does come from your skills, which is a huge bonus. I just think, again, with the reworks, maybe I should have prepped for this. What did the poll come out on? Because I figured the reworks on Holy Light and Holy Sword was going to have people flocking to Paladin.
The poll has Paladin right in the middle. It's at 13.3, so just below average. What's at the top is Necro, by the way, 19%. So
just Necro's in its own F tier of it's going to be so expensive to start.
Yeah. So that was also part of what informed me to say Necro should be at the bottom.
Okay,
So Paladin's in the middle, and then right below Paladin at 13 and 12% are Assassin, then Amazon, as far as popularity. So, they're all kind of in that same tier for another reason.
Okay, so then well, let's just jump to Druid. I mean, I don't think that I like the change to the Ice Blast from Druid, but I don't think that's gonna like flock people to it. There's really not all they bumped up Werebear. But Druid is still Druid players like playing Druid. In my opinion, they kind of stick with that class every season. Fury players always play Fury. Okay, so we're there. Why do you just what's your reason for Amazon being still down at the bottom where I had it last season?
I mean, I just am putting a lot of weight on Next It Always Misses being gone for Paladin, because especially early Hell, like soon after you get to Hell, and when you're trying to like farm Trav or farm Shank and Eldritch or whatever, something easy before you really get into maps, your defense is so bad as Paladin that you're just getting hit a decent amount and you're blocking a lot of it, sure, but when Next It Always Misses was hitting you and you weren't doing enough damage yet to like one shot or near one shot most enemies, you would just sit there and swing 12 times in a row and do nothing, and it was so frustrating. But now that seems to be gone, and I've had some time to test out some of the Next It Always Misses, and like when I first was building this Paladin I'm playing with here on the beta, I just got to like level 70 some, or didn't level myself all the way to 99 or whatever, and had some like mediocre items, a Barnar Star, a few random like junky mid-tier uniques, a Spirit Forge I started with, not a Corpse Mourn, a Tiamat's Rebuke, and even a Sankakir's Fall, same way. I'm trying Vengeance for what it's worth.
Yeah.
And it was just like, compared to the Vengeance that I had done in the Crafters League, it was just so much more responsive. And the nice thing is the Crafters League actually is still online, so I jumped over there and looked at that again, really briefly as well, and just tried playing it with Next It Always Misses still on, and it's night and day.
Okay.
So
I
just find the melee Paladin buffs are going to be enough to make it so that it's worth playing in the early game.
And you don't have
and I'm for it.
Okay, I'm buying your argument because again, if you can't see the graph, the whole point of this is, my thing is you can't fall below the cost curve. Like if you start falling behind the inflation rate with your clear speed and what you're finding, then that's happened to me in past seasons where I just can't get the top end gear because I am not, as a casual gamer, making enough money to buy the things. The best thing you can do is start out super early. The best seasons I had were the ones where I got like 2 Jaws that one season before I even hit maps and was able to just breeze through the season because I was so ahead of the cost curve here. So
yep.
I'm buying what you're saying on Paladin. It's going to not have that slow down.
Especially melee Paladins, because before it was like if you wanted to start, especially if you're trying to play solo, it was pretty much Fist of Heavens or bust, or I guess Fist of Heavens / Holy Bolt. Yeah. Hammers is really tough until you actually get the Enigma and a bunch of defense that makes it viable to stand in the middle of everything while you cast, and then all the melee just had all these issues. So
okay, so to recap, we have Necro down in its own crap tier of starters because of the cost and so many people playing it. Barb next up just because it again, that cost curve, you got to get that weapon to keep up with it. Druid next, and then Okay, so Amazon or Pally, these are all kind of in that tier 2 here. Here's my argument for Amazon. There is a sneaky little buff in here that I think people are missing. It's on Penetrate.
Oh yeah, increased the defense penetrate on penetrate. Yeah.
Yeah, so again...
Target defense for hardpoint -1 to -2, yeah.
The cost curve problem. Guys, I've played summons on so many times. This happens all the time. You get all your damage from your decoys and your Valks, and then eventually you start slowing down because your damage can't keep up, and then an end game with summons on, it's like half your damage is coming from you. With that penetrate buff on there, what I'm always missing around that 88, 89 level is attack rating. It's not going to be a problem now. They've basically given you an extra 20% defense off of every, if I'm reading that right, hard points from -1 to -2. It's extra 20% defense off of every enemy. And if you're playing summons on, it's like now all of a sudden that cost curve, you're going to blow right by it, because that's the slow period on summons on where I kind of start falling behind the market. Now, again, disclosure, if you're playing 8 hours a day for the first 2 weeks every single day, you can play whatever the hell you want, because you're going to stay ahead of that cost curve. It's not a complicated game. You kill monsters, things drop. But if you're only signing in for 2 hours a day, this is what you got to do. And even multi-shot got buffed. Fend and Jab, which are... they didn't need a buff. Those were still some of the best declone and Uber killers, and they just buffed them to get people to play them more.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it needed the multi-shot buff. Having played multi-shot last season, it just it felt fine once I got the massive Bariza. And the thing is, everyone is so big on the safety crafts recently, but Senpai did say that there's a nerf coming for those. It's not in this first set of the beta, but there should be a nerf coming for safety bows. So that'll drop their top end power by a little bit, but hopefully it means that Bariza and Windforce are worth something again. Okay,
so I'm buying your Pally argument. So I'll re-rank as Necro Barb, Druid, and then we kind of, you want Amazon over Pally? This is semantics at this point, but I'm buying your argument on Pally. I'd like to go Necro Barb.
I don't know how Druid ended up back down here. I thought we had Druid higher.
I think Druid is just, it's not that it's bad, it's just the other things got things that made them better.
Yeah, I guess it didn't change much. And the one thing that did change, and I didn't actually clue in on this until I heard Dark Humility say it. Fire Druid might be heinous next season, just with the next hit delay going away.
Oh, right. Xayah has it too. Okay, so let's say it like this. We got bottom tier there, and then sort of in the middle here, we've got very good things happening for Druid, Amazon, and Pally. They're all getting buffs across the board, either off next hit delay or the raw synergies,
or next hit always misses, yeah.
So Sin and Sork, which are always my top two starters for obvious reasons. Do you have any reason to dethrone Sork?
No.
Look at Sin's changes here.
No, I feel like Sorceress got even better, even more so better. So we can talk about Assassin first.
Well, on the Assassin, they actually reduced. Wake of Fire got a slight nerf. The scaling got reduced. Well, looks like
that's next hit. That's the next hit delay change.
Right. No longer prevents traps.
Damage. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not really a nerf then per se, but there was other buffs here on Cobra Strike got buffed. Venom got a little bit of a buff. Most of the just raw damage on Claw and Dagger Mastery got a buff.
Yep.
Assassin is still good, and the thing is, I was A, the trap sins are always good, but B, it's just to make a Chaos Claw. It's an Ohm Rune.
Yeah.
It is one of the easiest startup costs for a melee character.
2 seasons ago, when everyone was losing their minds over playing Whirlwind Sin, they nerfed it a little bit in the beta when they took away the indestructible and whatever, and it was still really good. It just was nowhere near enough of a nerf, and then they didn't touch it again here, and instead they actually seem to be buffing some of the physical sin stuff, as you said, Claw and Dagger Mastery.
Do you think Blade Fury had its startup frame reduced just like Inferno and Cold Blast on Druid? Do you think that's going to make it, I don't know, it's obviously going to feel better? We saw Chug make one of these a couple seasons back. Can you think of any, is that going to make it better for Declone perhaps?
It has been very good at Declone, Blade Fury and Blade Sentinel in the past, and it just, as you said, it makes it a lot more responsive, where every time that you're starting to sit there and channel for a few seconds, it's 9 fewer frames. That's almost a third of a second.
Yeah.
That's a lot, you know.
What's
especially when
it's like everything is good. Everything.
Yeah, when you get higher, you can just start throwing a bunch of them, or you only need to throw a couple of them before you start clearing the screen, and so it means that you're moving every couple throws. So it's just much faster because of that for mapping.
Yeah. Okay, and then Sork on top as a season starter because they just buffed it again for. See, it's so weird. Years they've been told, "Hey, you guys keep nerfing everything," and this season was like all buffs.
It's so many buffs. It's honestly kind of weird.
Well, teleport had its the damage reduction taken off of it, or slightly reduced.
Slightly reduced, and it now scales on soft points instead of hard points as far as the removal of that. So effectively, as Nova, you have no more debuff on teleport.
Yeah.
Because you have so much to lightning skills already.
And Nova was increased. The synergies were increased by 1%.
Nova got another bunch of damage. I played this in season 4 and 6. Well, Nova and Chain Lightning anyway, and it's just insane. Yeah. You need that infinity to really pop off, but you always needed that. This just made it much better. And then the really big one is Ice Barrage. Yeah. Ice Barrage got even more synergy buffs too, and it was already very fast early game, in particular as far as getting through things like cows. So
and for crazy
I don't see
endgame,
why.
Crazy endgame Frost Nova, which was the
switch to Frost Nova. Yeah,
the people with the GG insane gear were just, everyone at the top of the ladder had Frost Nova as their Sork build, and that got a buff too. So it's like Sork was already good, and Energy Shield's better, Teleport's better, Nova's better, Ice Barrage is better, Frost Nova's better. You don't have to fight people for the gear. Again, you've got, you're going to use a Fathom if you're a Cold Sork. You're probably on the Astutas, or I guess you can use a Infinity yourself if you're the Lightning Sork. But you're not fighting people for gear. You're not fighting people for the large charms.
Yep.
What is wrong with Sork again? It's better than it ever was.
And so with that, Sorceress is right behind Necromancer on the popularity poll, or what people are planning to play. It's only three votes behind out of 700.
So we're talking almost 40% of the player base is playing Sork or Necro.
Yeah.
That almost makes me want to put Sin on top. But either way, I mean, this wasn't really like a true ranking, but we were more discussing what I had last year, what we want to move around. I mean, I think we're sort of in the realm of Necro is definitely going to be the worst. Barb has its issues, but it's not terrible. Druid, Amazon, Pally are kind of in that middle range there, and then Sin and Sork are just still very, very, very good. Have you decided what you're going to play?
I have not, actually. I was initially thinking I wanted to start with Vengeance. Kind of that was why I made it as my second character in the Crafters League, just to get a feel for it. And understanding that it's like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do early game with, as I said, like Barnar Star in particular is just really good. But I don't know if it's like the kind of character I want to play right off. There's another that, and it's going to be funny after arguing with you for a little while. Well, not arguing, but anyway, discussing how I think Amazon might be down. I think I might just want to play Lightning Fury. Lightning Fury's getting synergy buff. Synergy's going up by 50% as far as those bonuses is huge. And there was already some cool things you could do with Lightning Fury. Yeah, it's not like it feels kind of slow in some capacities when you don't have a bunch of minus res helping you out. If you don't have something with static and infinity and lower res, but still, it seems like it can be way stronger this season. And it's been a while since I played a Javazon at all.
Well,
I'm considering that.
I saw the safety buff coming, and I think I said to you I was going to play what I played in the Crafters League and try to get that crazy safety bow and do that hybrid summons on cold arrow. But the safety bow is getting nerfed. I'm not sure I want to do that. I was still leaning towards Amazon, and I was either thinking jab, fend, or poison. Because I want to make a clone killer.
Yeah, that seems like a very viable path too.
And we're both playing.
I was considering that too.
We could share gear. We could be trading gear back and forth. Maybe we should be doing that.
I was liking the. I really liked the poker that made the video about 2 years ago now.
That's right, you did do a poker. I forgot about that. But Fend, it just flat 5% synergies and enhanced damage across the board. That's just
And once again, Next It Always Misses going away is so big, because that was the problem with Fen for the longest time. It was just like, oh, you're going to get stuck into poking a bunch of times, and they're all going to miss because of Next It Always Misses. So that going away once again.
Where's the let's
huge,
finish up by,
huge buff.
I want to look at that poll. Do you have a link for that poll? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was in the it wasn't the announcement, but that's like a handful of announcements ago. Just sent it to you in.
All right, so let's go check out just one thing to see how this breaks down. This is actually a greater spread than in past seasons.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that it gets, a full like twice as many people playing something than something else.
Yeah, with Amazon down that low. I mean, I know we didn't like rank them per se, but if you put a gun to my head, I would put Amazon at third. If it's all the way down there, the competition, and Sin all the way down there, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's still... You look at this and you compare it back to what Lord of Destruction was, and it's not even close. Back in Lord of Destruction, it was, 75% of people played Sorceress?
Are we selling Barb short because of how few people are playing it? Like, does that mean there's going to be less weapons on the market, but there is less competition?
It won't necessarily mean there's fewer weapons on the market. I mean, people find what they find.
I mean, steel pillars and stuff, but I'm talking if you want that, big dick crafted blood weapon, you're not going to be able to find that as easily in past seasons where everyone was playing Barb. And probably, half of those Barbs are playing Throw?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're putting more weight on this poll than I would. As I said, the fact is, this is at most 20% of the people, and this is the people that are most dialed in. So you can see why there's a big bias towards Necromancer and Sorceress as far as, oh well, I see the changes and I want to be a part of it. Whereas there's a lot of people that don't kind of get involved with the beta and don't really look at it until kind of launch day, and then they're just like, I'm going to play what I play. I feel like
I'm with you, but that's
you're not even going to see that
Necromancer
big
is even
disparity.
worse because the casuals love Necromancer. So it's like this is going to. I'm thinking this is in Necro and Sorc. So I think this is going to skew even harder. Once the late comers start picking their classes.
Yeah, could be.
So just Barb that low. That is distant change from years past. I'm trying to I feel bad putting Barb. I mean, I know ranking starters is sort of a moot point anyway. It's sort of stupid. But all the way down at 6, I don't know, with that few people playing it. I mean, who else is fighting Druid? I mean, I guess Fury Druid is still fighting for the big two-hander weapons, but they're going to be fighting for different ones, right?
Occasionally, yeah. Normally, Barb looks for just big damage sticks, whereas if you're doing any sort of shapeshifter Druid, you need attack speed on the weapon.
All right. Well, I thought it was an interesting discussion. So, anything else you want to add here?
I just want to mention all of the quality of life bugs that they continue to put into this mod are incredible.
Yeah.
Shank bug is now fixed. The one where when you kill Shank and sometimes the sprites would flash off the screen and disappear, that's gone. The menu volume when you're trying to join a game, that's fixed. The game servers now is a click button as opposed to having to type in GS2 in the description. It's just they keep adding all this stuff that has just been wonderful for making the game better and easier to play. So
I also like the stat counters. We'll never use them, just like the DPS meter, but just the fact that they added it in.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. Those are in there too. Level 20 to 24 is easier to level in Act 5. I saw somebody saying level 20, 21, 22, you're getting 15 to 20% of a level just by killing Shank or Eldritch and his minions, or Shank and his minions. Sorry, not Eldritch. And it's just on players 1, that is. So you could speed run through the game, not have to worry about some tombs or some cows or whatever to try to get yourself a few extra levels to make sure you're 25 by the time you're through the Bloody Foothills. It makes even walking through the game a little easier that way. So
I never played Phoenix Strike. Do you think Chaos Ice Freeze replaced by a chill, so it's no longer going to freeze the enemy in front of you? Do you think that's really going to affect Phoenix Strike?
I don't think it really matters. No, I played it. Yeah, when was that? When did I play that? Season 5, maybe. I don't think it matters too much. The ice there was not a huge factor of your survivability. You were still up there in the fray, not getting much leech, so you needed to already have a bunch of PDR. So, and you had some block either through claw block or wearing a storm shield or something. So you were already like relatively defensive just by how you wanted to build. This makes it a little bit less great, but I don't know. You see the other buffs that Assassin got, more than enough to compensate.
All right. Well, the only other thing I saw that got nerfed was actually, weirdly enough, Freezing Arrow, which probably did need it a little bit, but yeah, buffs across the board. That is sort of season starters ranked in our discussion on it, and we'll see you guys in a week.